What if I told you that weeks and weeks of strategic planning work could fit inside this 5-ish minute video? You stick with me, I'm going to show you how. Everybody, welcome back to the latest episode of your 5-minute AI fix. And today I'm going to show you how to do strategic planning process faster, easier, and way better with the power of AI. So let's jump in, shall we? So first, I want you to meet our company, Audience Pulse IQ. Yes, it's a lame name. This is a company I just made up for the purposes of this exercise, right? They're a MarTech company. They do audience segments for omni-channel campaigns. But their number one goal, single most important business goal this year, is to add 20 million in new ARR by scaling up market. Now, those of us that have been there and done that know that that would take an army of people and more slide decks than we can even contemplate. But let's shrink that today. How about that? Let's do it. So first, I'm going to show you what I did. So after I created a one-page summary of this business. I loaded it into ChatGPT. The first thing I had to do is I had to do a competitive analysis. Using deep research, it ran for 17 minutes and gave me 53 pages of very rich information. The next thing I did is I wanted to understand what are those outside market forces that are going to impact us, right? Political, environmental, legal, social, whatever they may be. So I ran a PESTEL analysis, again, using deep research within ChatGPT, and was able to get an additional 32 pages of rich information. So now that I've got a pretty good view of the outside forces, right, the market forces as well as a competitive landscape, now it's time to run a SWOT analysis. Now I want to understand, let's define those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So that's what I did. I ran a SWOT analysis and got 11 pages of great detailed information. Took about 21 minutes. Quick sidebar, if we were running this with your organization together, this is the part where we would load some past performance data in there, sales, marketing, customer churn, whatever it may be. This is the great spot where you want to incorporate that into the process. Okay, so now that we've got a clear view of the outside forces, we have a clear view of what our strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, threats are. Now we want to create our strategic blueprint. And to do so, we're going to use a playing to win plus the 7 powers framework to do that. And because ChatGPT has all of this context for the work that it's done, it only took 2 minutes. And it gave me 4 pages with a detailed blueprint of how we're going to go to market and win. And then finally, I had it create an Amazon-style strategic memo. If you're not quite comfortable or sure what that is, go look it up. They're pretty brilliant. But I wanted to distill this down into one single 3-page document that encapsulates the entire business strategy of the company. And it took 1 minute to create that, again, because it's got all that context. Really powerful stuff. Now, what you're looking at here is not just a random eye chart. I wanted to show you the how. If you caught my last video, I talked all about workflows. Well, these are just some of the workflows that I use to do this work. As you can see, they are quite comprehensive, and that is the whole point. AI thrives on context. So when you're creating workflows, incorporating that context is really critical. So these are workflows that any organization can use out of the box to run this strategic plan. Now, I could sit here and I could open up my ChatGPT and I could show you all the stuff that I did, but it would take hours and it would bore you to tears. So we're not going to do that. But I just wanted to show you a quick little video to say that, hey, I actually did go through and do this work. And it's quite a bit of work, as you can see. Now, in your experiences, where does strategic planning typically fall apart? Well, in my experiences of doing this, it's once it gets done out of the strategic leadership team that creates the plan, is getting it distilled down to the rest of the organization. So remember that strategic memo I just mentioned? Well, once we have that, that is meant to serve as the single document, the single source of truth for the organizational strategic plan. Every single leader, every single executive is bought in on it, right? But now what we're going to do is we're going to distribute that strategic memo across everyone in the organization. But not only that, we're going to actually give them those similar workflows that I just showed you in order for them to go and apply it to their particular role. So the first thing that each individual in the company is going to do is they're going to take a workflow, they're going to upload the strategic memo, put their title in that workflow, and it's actually going to give them role responsibilities that align directly to that strategic plan. That's pretty incredible. But not only that, we're also going to give them another workflow that is going to help them define their objectives and their key results, their OKRs. And so what you have here is you got 3 objectives for each individual in the organization and 3 key results underneath each of those objectives. So already We have done far better than most organizations, right? We've taken our strategic plan and we've also had every single person in the organization align their role around that plan, right? Strategic plans change every single year. So why wouldn't we want to maybe tweak what we're going to be focusing on throughout the entire organization? AI helps us do that much faster, much better. But we're not done there, right? Because now what we're going to do is we're going to take it to the next level and we're going to create a performance matrix. Again, each person in the organization is going to run this workflow to get this performance matrix, where it's going to take each of their 9 key results and give them under each one of those 9 additional expert-backed experiments that they can go run in order to achieve those results, right? Using AI. And that's the whole point. We want to use the AI to supercharge our organization. And we have done that not only from creating that plan, but all the way down to how each person in the organization is going to do their job. So what does this all mean? Well, what we did is we took weeks and weeks of work and we got it done in 80 minutes. Me to run this entire program here, this entire framework, took 80 minutes. Second, we got much deeper insights than we ever would the old-fashioned way, the manual way, around our competition, around the market forces, around strategic opportunities. We have much better and deeper insights than we ever would have had, unless we're paying some analyst firm hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in which case we're still probably getting slightly better information. We have real organizational alignment, right? When you take the strategic plan and you are able to distill that down to every single person in the organization, their role, their objectives, their deliverables, you have real alignment. And then finally, you've got a comprehensive performance matrix, right? You've got 81 expert-backed experiments so that every key result in the organization has an AI-powered playbook behind it. I cannot stress this enough. This is not about doing a bunch of work really fast, and this sure as heck isn't about removing humans from the equation. In fact, quite the opposite. This is about giving you and your team the single most important asset you can have: time, giving you more time. This is about not just accelerating the human factor, but expanding the human factor on your business. If you find this interesting and you want to learn more, I'm actually going to be doing a webinar next month. Give me a follow on LinkedIn to stay tuned for details on that. Otherwise, I will see you next time on the 5-Minute AI Fix. Take care.